Sounds good, Steve. Thanks. Former Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver will head to trial in November. Silver was in court again today, answering to the latest charges. These claim he did favors for an investor who gave him access to investment opportunities. The accusation was added to an indictment that claims Silver exploited his power in Albany to collect millions of dollars in payoffs and kickbacks. This, once again, we've been talking about this a lot in the past 2 weeks, brings talk of ethics reform front and center. Joining us now to enter the discussion again, our political analyst, New York Post political columnist Fred Dicker. Fred, this appearance of Silver in court comes on the heels of a new Siena poll showing that nearly 2/3 of New York voters don't think the new ethics reform measures put in place will do much of anything.
Well, it restored my faith in the people of New York, Cody, when I saw the fact that they were as cynical as they were about what was going on, because that was the feeling people at the Capitol had when this package, so-called package of reforms, was approved. I would note this is the third time since the Governor Cuomo, became governor in 2011 that he had a package of reforms that he said was going to make everything better. I'll tell you, one journalist, I think it was for Capital New York, looked at the latest reforms and then applied them to all the cases of indicted public officials over the last decade and concluded that these so-called reforms wouldn't have done anything about any of them. So I join with the overwhelming number of New Yorkers in saying not much of anything was done.
You look at the polling numbers again, I mean, an overwhelming number of people, of these voters polled, say that they believe corruption is a very serious problem or a somewhat serious problem. So what can you do, and what's being done behind the scenes?
Well, behind the scenes, nothing's being done. But what you can do is a legitimate question. I don't think there's anything you can really do because, for instance, let's say you have new disclosure requirements as they do now. You have to name anybody who's coming to your law firm that you're representing or some other business that you may have. Well, they could just simply do it off the books. If you're a criminal, if you're a crook, you could just get a bag of cash and nobody would know about it unless somebody photographs it or throws you in. So the idea that somehow there's going to be panacea legislation, I think, is false. The assumption that there's some way that you can legislate out of existence dishonest elected officials any more than you can legislate out of existence anybody who's dishonest is false. I think we need just higher quality public officials. Maybe a pay raise would help that.
Well, there you go. And I think the numbers are showing that the voters are just fed up with it. They don't think anything can be done.
You know, this is the state of Tammany Hall. I mean, it's nothing new that the American people, and I think it's healthy, are cynical about public officials. I mean, we had Boss Tweed here in the 1860s in New York. So this has been a long-standing prejudice, a legitimate one, but a prejudice, I think, on the part of not just New Yorkers, but voters around the country. They're skeptical and cynical about politicians, and based on my experience over many years, it's appropriate that they do so, that they be so.
All right, Fred, thanks for joining us. A reminder, you can hear Fred's radio program live from the state capitol every weekday morning from 10 to 11 on Talk 1300 AM.
Straight ahead, the famous name getting behind the push for more transparency when it comes to what you're eating. Plus,
seems proud, and she says that my dad would be happy.
Do you think he would?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We introduce you to a local fifth grader who's being recognized for making a huge difference in the lives of others, one step at a time.